So the last technique brought us up to the top of the sternum. That's our next to last station. And our last track will be the sternocleidomastoid muscle, which will carry us right up to the mastoid process. The setup for the sternocleidomastoid technique is complex and important that you get it right. I'm going to put my hand on Sunshine's neck such that this line of my knuckles rests right along the leading edge of the sternocleidomastoid. I do not want to be on the front of the throat. That clearly would not be a nice thing to do. So I'm here. Almost all the time in all of these direct techniques that we're employing, my direction is the direction of my arm or the direction of my pelvis. This is an exception to that rule. I'm going to follow my fingertips. So having just simply engaged this fairly superficial muscle, there's the platysma on the top, but sternocleidomastoid is right there for you. I'm just going to drop my fingers, my knuckles back. I'm using this same whole surface that we used on the leg. I'm going to drop that whole surface toward the back of Sunshine's neck. At that point, she can still breathe. She's still got blood going to her head, and she's not feeling as if her breathing's being cut off. Now I want her to turn her head to the left. And when you say that to people, a lot of times people will do what Sunshine's doing now, which is to roll their head on the table to the left like a ball. And I don't want her to do that either. So I'm going to put my hand on the top of her head, and I'm going to urge her to turn left using the rotation of her neck. One of the things that you can tell the client is that they'll hear their hair on the table. You can't hear it much, but they can hear it because they're not just rolling their head on the table, they are rotating the neck around its axis. So having educated the client to that, having gotten the leading edge of the sternocleidomastoid and taking it back in the direction of my fingertips a little bit, I will then ask Sunshine now to turn, and she does most of the work by turning away from you. Do you feel the kind of pull on that, Sunshine?
Yes.
Okay. And once she's turned pretty much whatever her range of motion is towards that side, I continue along the neck, bringing this tissue toward the back. Now, I understand that I've gone off first the sternal head and then the cleidal head and past this space and then onto the leading edge of the trapezius. By the time you get down here, you're no longer working on the sternocleidomastoid, you're working on the trapezius, which we'll see again in the arm lines. But the fascial plane is the same between the sternocleidomastoid and the trapezius, and our idea here is to bring that tissue back, since with the head forward posture that tends to get carried forward. I'm circumnavigating her neck. My elbow is making a tour of her neck. I'm not just staying right on top and going that way, because when I get to the midline, I'll fall off. I have to lean out so that I can carry the work all the way around towards the back. So, did that feel okay?
Mm-hmm.
Some burning involved in that?
A little bit.
But not too bad.
No.
And no pressure on your windpipe.
Right.
That's what I'd like the folks back home to know for sure, that there's no pressure on the windpipe. All right, Susan, you ready to try this?
I am.
All right, use your left hand here. Good, so it's this next knuckle right there, right along the edge of the sternocleidomastoid. Good. Okay. And you let her turn first, so you have to tell her what to do.
So start to turn your head.
You feel that tissue pulling out from under your hand? You feel her stretching it out from under your hand?
Good.
Pressure's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, and you lean so that you can, how far back on her neck can you go before you fall off? That's it, that's it, that's it, that's it. When she's gone as far as she can go, then you go as far as you can go, and then let up. Good, so what's, how's that?
Do it again?
Yes.
Yeah, do it again.
How was that? compared to... Oh, great.
Okay, so just let these knuckles soften, so it's this surface. There you go. Okay, and you get enough to get a grip on that, and then you start moving that way, and then she moves away from you. You feel that pulling out from under your hand? She's pulling the tissue out.
This time I can more feel her doing the work.
Right, and now she's getting out to the limit of her thing, so you start doing your work, taking it in the opposite direction. Lovely. Okay?
I like that.
That's good.
So if you find that last technique a little daunting, or your client does, you can practice a variation of that and still get this sternal head of the sternocleidomastoid to lengthen out. I'm again going to place the edge of the knuckles here along the edge of Sunshine's sternocleidomastoid, but she's already turned to the left. I've already engaged so that, see how that superficial front line is a long line going right along there. So this, likewise, I am not going to push in, although it's, with her head turned, it's a lot safer to push in on the side of the neck here. I'm still going to be more lifting. And as I lift the sternocleidomastoid toward the mastoid process, I'm dropping my elbow to get that kind of scooping feeling of scooping the superficial fascia up towards. I'm definitely going behind the ear, not under the ear, but I'm also going to continue on up onto the mastoid process. The muscle stops here, but the fascia keeps going right up onto the scalp. So your client will feel a little incomplete if you stop too soon. You can carry this right on up. I'm going a little too fast now just to show you, but you can carry this right up onto the mastoid process, and if it's not pulling the hair too much, right onto the scalp where the fascia keeps going. Okay, Sunshine, if you want to just keep your chin in and tuck around to the other side, we'll let Susan try. You can generally see how prominent that sternocleidomastoid is, so you just put your knuckles right along that edge, and you're going to scoop that up by dropping your elbow. Just scoop that up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't want you to go towards the ear. I want you to go behind the ear. Okay? That's it. That's the direction.
I feel like I lost.
You lost it there, right at the end. Yeah, okay, so try it again.
A little slower.
That's good. Does that feel good, Sunshine?
That's great.
Yeah, that looks like just right. And just don't lose it. Stay right on that bone. Use your little finger knuckle right up over the bone and onto the scalp itself.
Yeah.
Ça y est. Great.
Excellent.